Okay guys, so I'm finally doing some work here. I'm tired of this tank smelling. I do not like when things smell. I like to keep my room very smellless, and it's smelling and I hate it. So this is draining, completely cleaning it, taking that filter, completely cleaning it. That's draining, then to clean it. That's getting a water change. Those two tanks are getting a water change. I need to switch that. That's getting a water change. Everything's getting a water change, and it's all gonna not smell anymore because I can't take that. That's gross. To give you guys some background information, this is my 125 gallon tank, and when I originally filled it with water, I planned on building a filter system as soon as possible, but I quickly learned that that wasn't exactly possible, my plan anyway, so it hasn't been running with a filter. It just has a pump for a long time, so it's pretty gross, but it only has 2 turtles in it. So that's why I've been leaving it run. But today I'm doing an absolute deep clean on it because I was just tired of the whole thing being so gross. Okay, so I got the filter and all the stuff in it washed, and that's why it is right here on the 125 gallon, and it will be here for a little while. So, and I got this filled up, so I'm going to get the filter running and put all these plants in it, and then put this filter media in it, these lava rocks that should have the beneficial bacteria and whatnot, into it. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the goldfish in as well into here, and then I'll add the turtles back in. One of them's chilling in there with Petey. There's Lewis right there, and then one's in a bucket behind me. Or Pee-wee's in the bucket behind me. So I have the fish in here, and they just have bubblers, so I need to get them into here pretty quick because I should have done this in a better fashion anyway, setting up this filter. Okay, so I have the filter set up with the media and the plants from that tank, so it should have a bit of bacteria, beneficial bacteria. Also those rocks, which, I mean, I washed off, so I don't know that deal. And then I washed off everything else, so whatever's there. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of media to work with besides the walls there. But there's about 2 degrees difference here in this water, 72, in that water, 70, and the parameters are probably completely different, but these are goldfish. So what that tells me, or what I'm trying to say there, is that they're really hardy. And just thinking about it, normally when I put the hose in there to fill up, it normally comes out like 80 degrees and just like gets really hot right away, and then I have to like fix it and stuff. That's just because I'm using my shower thing, and it's really hard to get the right temperature. So what I'm saying is, I think it would be more stress for them to put them into bags, set them in here for 30 minutes, and then wait for them to like temperature acclimate and then throw them in, then just throw them in right away. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think that it would just be the best thing to get them in here, because they've been in here for quite a while, and as you can see, they're all gaping for oxygen because there's not a lot in there. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to throw them in here. There's 2 minnows in here, and I'm actually going to throw them into this tank with these guys because I eventually want them in here with these guys, because these guys will eventually be going in here. I know, confusing system here, but I am going to put them in there mainly because that pump right there, which is kind of the thing that makes sense to me, is that is moving the water crazy, so that this can suck it all up. That's what makes sense to me. I don't know. Those things, this pump could suck those fish up, and that would be very bad for the fish because they die. So I think it'd be safer for them to move them in here. So I just had a bag. I am going to acclimate them in a bag because the temperature is quite different. Right there it's 70, like I had said, and right there it is 76. So that's more different, and those are smaller fish, so I am going to acclimate those, but I'm just going to start catching the goldfish out and add them in here I feel like that would just be easier on them, in my opinion. So I know the parameters are completely different, and I'd like to say this was like a 100% water change where it's just the media still, but then there's new water. But no, it's like there's like very little media, but I tried to. Yeah, I tried. I think the goldfish will be fine because they're goldfish. So I'm gonna go ahead and start moving them. I wouldn't exactly recommend doing this with fish, but I just didn't really see any better option. I mean, I could acclimate them in bags, so then the temperature would be the same, but then they would have, like, it would have been more stress for them to be in bags, or I could have, like, drip acclimated them, but that would have taken a long time, and they were already at a lack of air in that tank, so it seemed like the best option. They all lived, and they've all been doing well. Okay, so I got all 14 goldfish. I might have said other numbers in other videos. It's 14. There was 15. Norman killed one. Now there's 14. I put that stack of rocks there because that thing is so powerful that one got, like, one of the big ones got pushed around to the point that it was upside down, and I was like, yeah, it's not a good idea. So, fix that. I have the 2 minnows in there acclimating to the warmer temp. That was pretty smooth, but hopefully they'll all acclimate real quick and start swimming around and stuff and do well. It's pretty exciting. I won't add the turtles just because the turtles are fine wherever they are. Turtles are way harder, way more hardy than fish are, so I'm going to get the fish to kind of chill out for a little while. Maybe I'll even turn the upper lights off or something, or that light off, just to kind of let them chill out. And then add the turtles in. But what I'm going to be working on now is that tank down there, and then I'll fill up the rest of these tanks. The nice things about these, like those two have bubblers, these ones have bubblers, so these fish are all fine to just sit with that much. Like, I wouldn't leave it that long, but that's what I really liked about putting bubblers on this. I don't have to worry about it. This just has a bunch of turtles in it. It has Lewis, PD, Marcus, and Adam, which are the two baby red-eared sliders, Mississippi map turtle, and the western painted turtle. So they're all good. And then, like I said, the other 2 turtles are literally in tubs, so don't have to worry about them. But I'm gonna drain this tank all the way. Probably have to scoop it out because there's just like a ton of detritus in the bottom. And then I'm gonna set up that smaller filter, but I'll actually be able to use like the filter floss stuff. And I think it'll be a good tank for just one very large 20-plus-year-old red-eared slider. Okay, the water changes are now over. All the goldfish are doing well in there with the turtles. Norman's down there. His tank's a little bit murky because I could only drain it so much because it's so close to the ground. The whole siphon thing wasn't working for so long, so I had to and there's a bunch of crap left in the bottom. And this tank's doing well with the 2 minnows are now in there, and they seem to be doing well. I think they're blunt-nosed minnows, which are a North American native, and it looks like it's chasing that fish. I think they can be pretty aggressive because I've had them wild before, and these might have been caught in the wild, but who knows. If they were probably caught and then sold as bait or feeder fish, but yeah. And then this got a water change, and these guys got a water change, and those guys obviously, and now they have the filter there, and that thing's now slanted to provide light for those guys. And then this one now has this little tiny filter, and everything's set up, and it's currently 2:30 in the morning. 2:30 a.m. So I'm probably gonna eat, take a shower, go to sleep. It's been a long day. I woke up at like 7:30 this morning. I want to do the math there, and as I said, it was like a 2 hour, maybe 3 hour car ride home from camping, and then I got home and I left like immediately and volunteered for like 3 hours, then got home, started to do water changes. So I think I started around 5. How many hours would that be? Sorry, it's late. It'd be like 9 hours of doing water changes. I think that's right. I don't know. 5 plus 7 would get me 12. Yeah. Okay. 9 hours of doing water changes. But it looks nice, so yay. And it'll look even better tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and turn the lights off. And it's now quite a while later. This is the look of the tank right now. I have done another water change since then, or maybe 2 even. And I've been keeping the water pretty clear, a lot better than it was before. But basically the only way I'm taking waste out of this is water changes, because there's no real mechanical filtration, so that isn't completely ideal. But all the goldfish are doing well. As I had said, they all made it. The 2 lovely turtles are back there. I have this up front now because everything is now ready to move. These guys, all of these guys here, will be going into the 300 gallon, and everything's ready for that except the weather. So I'm waiting on the weather now. As soon as the weather decides that it's going to be warm enough to put turtles and goldfish outside, because the stock tanks, you know, it's just a tank, so it's whatever temperature it is outside. Once it clears up and everything, move them outside. So when I do that, I'm going to take this pump with me, and I have a filter set up for them and everything's good there. These plants have been doing absolutely amazing, especially these are just taking off. The Wandering Jew, as you can see, is just loving it up here. Those 2 turtles have been doing well, gaining weight, especially Lewis, which is very exciting. Like I said, the goldfish are doing well. Norman's down here. This tank's gross all the time because this puny little filter, but Norman's been doing well, I think. And I also have a little minnow in here, as you can see. I got some other turtles, I took them in, and they came with a feeder fish as well. I think this is a rosy red minnow, which is a common feeder fish, so I'm going to keep it as well. And I'm going to add it in this tank eventually once, I don't know, basically when I move Norman outside. I think I'll go ahead and move it. Since it's kind of really gross in here, I figured it would be good for it to be in here, because like, I don't know, it was actually pretty amazing that I got it to live, because it was given to me in like a bucket, and we were an hour away from my house, because we were just picking up turtles, we thought, but no, there was a fish as well. I didn't really ask a lot of questions about the whole transaction, but yes, there was a fish as well, and it was in like a really gross bucket. Well, I mean, the bucket was fine, but what was in it was really gross, which was just some water and some like rocks and stuff, and then the turtles were in there as well, so they had pooped and whatnot. So I took the turtles out, put them in a different container, and then I somehow managed to get this fish home, and it was like hours later because we had to do some running around as well, because again, we weren't planning on getting a fish, and we're not like in that part of the state very often, so we went ahead and or I'm not. Anyway, we got home alive, and it's been staying alive in Norman's tank here, so that's exciting. All the tanks are doing well, especially these 2 look very cool, I think, and all the goldfish are following me because they always want fed all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will eventually get this tank up and running very well. We have a new filter idea, so we should be able to complete that. I need to go to Lowe's and buy some supplies. It's going to be a DIY to fit with the channel name, DIY filter, and it will be able to support all of these guys, that minnow, and those 2 turtles, and this whole tank. So that's what eventually will be in here. I'll get nice gravel. I have some huge rocks. You can't really see it, but that right there is a huge rock. I'll definitely make sure you can see it once I redo the scape, and you will be able to see it against the gravel. But then I also have all these rocks, and I have this tube. It's connected to the pump back there, because I had to like, I don't know, it was like hard to get onto the pump, and then I didn't want to mess with it once it was there, so I just left it on here, and then I put some rocks around it, because if I didn't, then the turtles would move it, and I would end up spilling everywhere. Learned that from experience. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put in the comments below. And if you want more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day.